Good morning. My name is Adam, and I would like to welcome anyone who is watching to my new channel that I am starting. It will give you a little bit of information about myself and what my channel is about. I am in my 40s. I'm not going to get too specific on details of personal nature, but just to let you guys know, I am starting a buy, sell, trade, repair, and servicing channel for yard equipment, mowers, blowers, trimmers, so on and so forth. Anything that's got an actual engine on it. None of that electric stuff, because it's really, in my opinion, not something that's even worth really working on, with the exception of maybe mower blades, etc. But just to give you guys a little bit of information about myself and my background here, I've been doing mower repair, mostly mower repair, also blowers and trimmers, etc., for approximately 5 years now. And the purpose of my channel is to help anyone out who wants to know how to properly maintain and or work on their yard equipment. Also, it's to help those who are looking to potentially start a small side hustle or even go into it professionally, with some tips, tricks, and things that I have picked up along the way. And I want to do my first video. It may actually end up going into 2 videos. I'll have to decide that based on running time, but I don't want to spend too much time on these videos wasting away talking, but I do want to go ahead and introduce what my channel is called. I'm going to use the moniker The Shade Tree Mechanic, and I am coining that term thanks to my brother, so I will credit him. His name is Tommy, even though he doesn't actually know that these videos are existing yet. I've got here in front of me a mower that I picked up yesterday off of Facebook Marketplace. I was going to purchase this mower, but instead, due to the easy nature of the problem the lady described, I am going to just repair this for her and give it back to her. She had gone ahead and purchased a new mower, and it was still in the box and unassembled, and she still has the receipt and everything. So I'm going to repair this thing for her and save her approximately $220, because she spent $260 on a brand new one at the store, when really this is like a $10 fix at most for most people. So I'm going to show you some things about what to look for on a mower if you're going to purchase one for yourself, brand new or used or anything of that nature. It doesn't matter. These things are the things that you should look for on a mower either way. These are basic things. There are some other more in-depth things that I would like to get into, and I will do so if time permits in this video. If not, I will get to it in another video. But let's get into this. I'm going to flip the camera around so you guys can see what it is that I am working with. So this is the mower that she had brought to my attention via Facebook Marketplace. And we get the strap away from it and bring it over here to get a better look here real quick. Now, right away, for those of you who are familiar with mowers, you're probably very familiar with this type. It is a Briggs & Stratton engine. It is a 5 horsepower motor. This is what I call a stupid carburetor, and the reason why I call it a stupid carburetor system is because of this little push bulb right here. These push bulb ones are becoming a very rare thing to see, as most models are going to your smart carburetor, otherwise known as an easy start. I call them a smart carburetor. I don't know what you guys call them. Some people would call this type of carburetor, because it is a plastic carburetor. You can kind of see right there, the linkage between the fuel tank line and the carburetor. I'm hoping you guys can see that. The sun is kind of working against me here. But anyways, you guys can see that that's a plastic carburetor. These mowers are characterized by this type of, and you'll have to pardon the garbage that's in there. I just got this mower. I haven't even had time to clean it. Characterized by this type of filter housing. This is also the carburetor cover. This is your intake right here for the carburetor. This is where the primary air comes in. So these carburetors are very, very finicky. They don't like to be dirty, and this one is actually not as bad as some I have seen, so this is not a bad thing. She did inform me that this mower has not been serviced. They have had it for 3 years, and so I will be doing a full service on this as well. But the reason why she messaged, or I messaged her, and she posted this on Marketplace, was because these front wheels here are locked up. And it's a very simple fix. It really is. But before I get into all that, I'll get into some of the things that you guys should check. The condition of the inside of this housing right here where the carburetor cover is, that's a definite thing you want to check. And the stupid cover is not cooperating here. Don't know why. That could have something to do with it. But anyway, so I got the carburetor cover back on. Anyways, so here's some things that you guys want to check. You want to check the condition of your handle here. You want to check the cable. The cable is in fairly good shape. As I said, it's only about a 3-year-old mower. It is a Briggs & Stratton 5-horse. It's not in horrible condition. There are some things that you definitely want to check on these before you decide to purchase one. This right here is minor. This is not going to be a make or break for me for buying a mower. There are some conditions that you can check, though, by pulling on the cord, which you want to do by actuating this handle. For those of you who do not know, this is your flywheel brake, otherwise known as a run-stop cable or a kill cable. And what this does when you actuate this handle, there's a little lever here that the cable goes to, and there is a small brake pad that you cannot see. It's underneath this cover here, and it engages or disengages the flywheel for the purpose of grounding. Now, what you want to do is you want to pull the start cord, which is also known as the recoil, and you want to find out whether or not it is a smooth pull, or if it's rough, or if it sticks, or in a lot of cases, if the condition of the mower is bad, it will actually kick back on you. And if it kicks back on you, that's going to tell you one of two things. Either there is a Woodruff key that connects to the top of the crankshaft underneath this cover in the flywheel. It's the key that locks the flywheel to the crankshaft. If that is broken, warped, chipped, or the slot for that key is worn, it'll throw off the timing of the mower. And if it does that, it will kick back on you. The other possibility is if somebody ran over something hard while the mower was going, while it was running. If they did that, there's another possibility of a bent crankshaft. If that's the case, it will jerk you back, and if it is bent, and it does do that to you, be aware it can pull your arm out of socket. It's not a good thing to experience. I've had it happen to myself. It hurts very, very badly. The other thing that you want to look for on these things, the very first signs of problems if you're looking to buy a used mower for yourself, even sometimes a new mower will have this problem. Look around the bottom here. If you see oil buildup, there's generally a concern there for an oil leak. There is a seal here for the oil pan right underneath here. You cannot see. And if there is an oil leak, this is one of the first places you will see that problem show up. Okay, let's get into the other portions of what to look for here. Now, you can tip these motors over. Do not tip them to the carburetor side. You can either tip them back towards the back wheels with the nose in the air, or you can turn them to the opposite side of the carburetor. That's how you want to tilt these things. If you tip it forward, you're going to end up having a problem if you tip it towards the carburetor side, where gas and oil will mix. And oil inside your carburetor will actually kill the carburetor. You'll have to pull the carburetor and you'll have to clean it. And then you may end up having to replace the carburetor, because even if you clean it, it may not come totally clean. There's a small jet inside that carburetor that you can plug if you do this. So you don't want to tilt it towards the carburetor. You always want to tilt it opposite side of the carburetor. Now, when I tilt these things, the first thing that I'm looking at is going to be the blade condition, okay? The blade on this particular mower is in really good shape. It's not terribly old. She said she believes it has been replaced. It was probably replaced last year. The next thing is there is no oil buildup anywhere on the crankshaft, on the lower side of the crankshaft here where it connects to the blade, or around the seal where the motor actually connects to the frame of the mower. So always look at that to see what the connection of the motor to the deck looks like. Okay, so there is no issues here. I will be pulling this blade off and I will be sharpening it, but that'll tell you what kind of condition of the mower you're looking at. The next thing is, if you can, have someone engage the cables so that the blade will freewheel. But just to show you what you're looking for here, you can do this. It's not going to hurt this at all in any way, shape, or form. But what you're looking for is wobble. If you see wobble on this when you spin it, that means you've got a bent crankshaft. Now, there are some instances in which a bent crankshaft is not a deal breaker. You can sometimes fix them. I will go into that at a later time, but I will tell you right now, as far as information goes, you guys do not want to do this procedure without some knowledge. There are some videos out there of people who are able to fix these things when they have a bent crankshaft. They never do get 100% back to true. There are some cases where they get close to it. But when you have a bent crankshaft, there's a couple things that will happen. Either the motor will not be usable at all, or it will run, but it'll vibrate the heck out of you. And that's not a good scenario when you're trying to mow a lawn, especially if you're mowing a long time and you're sitting there vibrating and everything. It really is an uncomfortable experience. So just be aware of that. So with that being said, this mower and motor and everything are in pretty decent shape. So if you are looking on Facebook Marketplace, which I do highly recommend because I do a lot of my side hustle business on Facebook Marketplace. I buy, sell, trade, repair, and service, like I said. There are instances in which you can find a good deal for a mower, even if you're finding it for yourself, or if you want to turn it around and make some money on it. Now, the lady in question initially had this mower advertised for $75. the people that I know who do this, they would actually try to talk her down to no more than 30. And in a case where the mower is questionable as to whether or not it can be salvaged for whatever purposes you have, either using it for yourself or turning around and selling it, I would say that, trying to negotiate someone down is a reasonable thing to do depending on the age of the mower and its overall condition. Now, I am not really that picky as far as condition goes, because I can actually take some of the good parts off of these things and salvage them. So if I spend $30, it's not that big of a deal. That's actually on the high end for a mower that's questionable on whether or not it can be salvaged. There is someone here locally in town that I know, he won't offer any more than $10 for a used mower, and that's about what you can expect from someone who's trying to make a side hustle work for themselves to make some extra money. I usually offer a little bit more because I have a little bit more flexibility, but I also, do things that a lot of these other people who are doing this do not do, and I will give you guys some tips and tricks that I have picked up and decided to do myself, especially if you're looking to turn these over for a profit, to help you guys do that. Now, that being said, I will tell you guys exactly what her problem is. This mower was left out in the rain, okay? And there was someone that she had spoken to and says, well, if your mower is left out in the rain, you're probably looking at a major deal here for expense and everything for repair, even though this particular mower is not a self-propelled model. And I actually had to set the record straight on that, and I told her, I said, no, it's actually a real simple fix. I like to try to be honest with people and everything, so I let her know. It's actually a very simple thing. It's not complicated to do this job at all. All you really have to do is remove these wheels and basically get rid of the rust, because what's in here is a sleeve that it's just basically a metal spacer. It's a sleeve that goes between the plastic housing, and it lines the inside of these things. Now, a lot of these front wheels on these mowers actually do not have that. They will be solid plastic in there, and it'll be the plastic directly on the metal. Those ones you don't have to worry about doing this sort of thing where they will fuse and not move. But on this particular type, and you may not be able to see it here, I'll take it off and I'll get a better view of it. But there is a metal sleeve in there, and the metal on metal is what the problem actually is when you leave these things out in the rain. Okay, so we'll get into that a little bit, and we'll show you how this looks when I get it off. Okay, so on this particular mower, this little nut right here is actually a 9/16, and I've actually already got it started and everything. So we're going to pull this off, and we're going to take a look and see what we've got. Okay, so let me set up my prop here. You guys can see what I'm doing here. So after a little bit of coaxing, I had to get out the WD-40 in order to do it. The wheel was stuck on there pretty good, so I had to tap right here and pull to get the wheel off. But basically, here's what the problem is right here. So there's a metal sleeve right here on top of this metal shaft that connects the wheel. It holds the wheel on. And this little toothed area right here, that's really what connects the wheel to the axle. So what you're wanting to do in order to free this up is you want to take some WD-40 and you're wanting to spray copious amounts of WD-40 right here. And you can take yourself a pair of channel locks and just work it around a little bit. Make sure it's nice and loose and everything. And later on, what I'll do is I'll tip this. In fact, I'll show you how I'm going to tip it. You can't really, with the carburetor on, you can't really tip it to this direction. But when you have to work on this, what you're going to do is you're going to end up taking the carburetor off so that you don't ruin the carburetor. Because the carburetor and everything works right now. We don't want to mess that part up. And removal of a carburetor is really easy. It's generally only 4 screws, and you're going to want to take a pair of vice grips and shut the fuel supply off if there's fuel in the tank. Then you'll take this clip that's got an identical one over here on the carburetor and you'll pull that back and the thing just slides right off. So I'll show you that probably in another video. But for now, this procedure, we're just going to tip this mower up so I can show you how this is going to work. So you want to tip it on in like this, because gravity is going to be your friend here. So what you're going to do, there is a small crease in between this toothed sleeve that attaches, or rather causes friction with the wheel in order for the wheel to work, and the shaft it sits on. So you're going to want to do your best to free this up using the WD-40 as your releasing agent, because that's all it is the thing is just rusted together. That's the whole problem right there. It's why the wheels would not turn. Now I would let that sit for 20 minutes or so and let that work its way in there. There is something else you can use, and I will have to find mine in order to show it to you, but it's called 3-in-1 penetrating oil, and that is a true oil, and that is the best thing to use on this to free these wheels up and keep them free for quite a while. That oil lasts a long time. Now, it is a little bit on the thick side, so it may or may not get into that little groove as well as the WD-40 does. But if you put enough on there, enough times, and try to work it in there a little bit, it should work. Gravity does work, so, you know, that's the prevailing theory anyway. So, like I said before, this repair is very simple. It's very quick. There is more involved here with this mower because it has never been serviced, and I went ahead and offered my services for this lady to get this thing serviced and back to where it should be. But while I've got this thing tipped, I will go ahead and let you know what all we're going to do to this. I am going to perform an oil change on this. I will check the level and everything with it having been upright for a while, and I'll show you guys how to do all that also on another video. unless there's time on the second one that I do. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look down here. Now, there are some models, the newer mowers don't necessarily have this, but there are some models of mowers where it's real simple to do an oil change. I like the fact that they had this, but they've gone away from it, and it's kind of annoying that they did that. But at the same time, they don't really expect you anymore to do your own oil changes or even have a service provider do it. These manufacturers nowadays, what they'll expect you to do, a lot of them will say never requires an oil change. Do not, under any circumstances, please do not listen to that garbage. And that's exactly what it is. If you have an engine, a gas engine or a diesel engine, it doesn't matter. You have to have oil changes, period. And the intervals may be different based on the engine type, the horsepower, torque in the transmission, so on and so forth, that puts the stresses on the motor. Those things may vary on when your oil change interval has to be, but just like your car, your truck, your SUV, whatever you're driving, motorcycle, your dune buggies, whatever has a gas engine, it does require an oil change. Even these small mowers, even when the manufacturer says never requires an oil change, that is simply a gimmick. What they're wanting to do is they're wanting your equipment to fail so that you will have to buy more. This is a thing that a lot of the manufacturers, not all of them, but and just about every single one of them nowadays, has a model that says never requires an oil change. Do not, under any circumstances, believe that, okay? You're going to save yourself a lot of money over the course of your yard maintenance and all this other stuff that you have to do to your yards. If you're like me, I know right now my yard is kind of overgrown. I haven't had a chance to get to my own stuff just yet. Here in Texas, our weather's been a little weird for this spring so far. But you do have to do the primary regular maintenance on these things, or have someone do it that knows what they're doing so that they can help you out. I will get more specific on other videos on things that the manufacturers are trying to sit there and say and do and everything. They don't even want you to sharpen your blades anymore. Just go out to the store and buy a new one. Buy a new one. Buy a new one. And I'm going to tell you, those things run $20 to $60, depending on, what kind of blade you're wanting and what size and what piece of equipment it's going on. Even as far as your manufacturers go, the price of blades is not universal, and blades themselves are not universal. So if you don't know what you're doing, please ask someone who does. Okay? For now, that is all on this video that I want to spend. I've been on this video for now about 30 minutes. And I really feel that that's going to be about most people's attention span when it comes to things like this. So I will break it up into another video and show you guys what I'm doing for the rest of this mower on the next one. If you guys have any questions or comments, I would welcome any information that I may have missed. I can cover any kind of topic just about. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that I know everything about these things, because I don't. I've only been doing it for about 5 years, like I said. So there are some things that I'm still learning myself. If anyone has any information that's beneficial and helpful, I'd welcome that kind of information and feedback. But for now, this is what I've got, and I will get into other things on the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Again, questions, comments, I will try to get back to as many of them as I possibly can. Thank you for watching.